All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, April 9th. We have a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so what I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of last night, we managed to make a small profit. I believe it was like 0.05 units, but you know, we're still rocking with quarter unit plays. Like I've been saying, we've been off to a heater to start the MLB season. Winning night, winning night, winning night. These losses are few and far between. I know I'm jinxing the hell out of myself right now, but man, I'm kicking myself for these quarter unit days. But overall, we probably will bump it up to, either, half unit or something like that in the next week or so as we get more and more data in. But nonetheless, still a profitable night. I'm not going to cry over that. I'm just going to kick myself for the way that we've been, disciplined to start the season, because every part of me wants to just ride the heater and start putting full units on plays. But we made the vow to ourselves. But Javier Baez got a little sweaty at the end, but that one cashes. The Nerfy in the Cardinals and Pirates game, we cashed 2 Nerfies yesterday, the Stros and the Mariners. We had Ernie Clement and Jaime Candelario, both of those under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Twins first 5 team total under. This was probably the one yesterday in the comments that people were like, what are you thinking? Blah, blah, blah. Ended up cashing. I think it was a good look. Cole Reagans went out there and pitched very, very well. And then we had, I guess that is all of the winners. And then in terms of the losers, Red Sox first 5, we really wanted to back Garrett Crochet. And not that he did all that terrible, but the Red Sox offense just could not put some runs on the board, right? Charlie Morton over 4.5 hits. He comes out with 4 hits. And let's see, we also had the Phillies, Braves, first 3 under. I thought it was going to be a pitching day, and honestly, it was a hitting day. I think they scored like 5 runs through the first 3, and then Padres first 5 money line, they get crushed. So yeah, some of those losses, bad looks, but I will say some of those wins were very good looks as well. So kind of a mixed and matched type of a day yesterday, but still 0.05 units in profit overall. But that's yesterday. Let's go ahead and dive into today. Guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You have been super supportive to start off the MLB season. I know the plays have been great and whatnot, but we take a lot of pride in the videos and the production and just bringing, entertaining and good videos each and every day. You guys have been super receptive, making me jump out of bed in the morning to record these bad boys. So really do appreciate it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Keep commenting all your favorite plays down below. Soon enough, we'll bring the ride of the day over from the NBA to the MLB, so let's get those ready. But let's go ahead and dive into game number 1 here. We have Pittsburgh taking on St. Louis. On the bump for Pittsburgh, it's going to be Mitch Keller going up against Eric Fetty. We'll start with Mitch Keller here because I'm not exactly sure what to make of him. He has kind of a mixed bag in terms of results against this Cardinals team, this current roster as well. A ton of plate appearances against them. He has a mixed bag in terms of what we've seen from him so far this season. He pitched pretty well against Miami. He went 6 innings pitched, just 1 earned run. But then he plays the Yankees, and they were at home, and he gets shelled. 3 2/3, 7 earned runs, 8 hits, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, no home runs. Tons of guys on base. What is that, 12 guys on base? So I sit there and I'm like, well, what is the Mitch Keller that we're going to get? Because even I would say in this year and last year, we've seen a guy that can go out there and shove, but then we've also seen a guy that goes out there and just absolutely struggles. Now, I will say that was the Yankees in the middle of their extreme offensive run, so I get that. But I don't know if I have full faith in Mitch Keller overall. He's also going to throw a ton of fastballs. That's a pitch that St. Louis has been hitting really well to start the season. The slider, I guess I wouldn't say as much, but they're not exactly the worst team against the slider either in the early goings here. Now we flip it over to Eric Fetty, who's on the mound for St. Louis, and you could put him right in the same exact situation. He went up against Boston in the middle of their good run, and they absolutely tagged him. He went 3 innings, 5 hits, 2 home runs, 6 earned during that time, 4 walks, 1 strikeout. Yikes, right? But then he went up against a bad offense, much like Keller did in the start previous against Minnesota. He went 6 innings, 2 hits, just 1 earned run. So 2 guys that I don't know exactly what we're going to get out of on the mound today. So I think I'd turn to the team that I do believe has the better offense, and I think it's fairly clear, even though they did have, the one-off game, which was, I guess 2 games ago or even last game, the last 2 prior to the one we just saw yesterday, it's St. Louis. St. Louis has a good offense. They can hit righties. Like I said, Mitch Keller, it's not like he has shutdown numbers against them. He's going to throw the fastball. They are second in the league right now in terms of runs above average against the fastball. All but 3 guys in their starting lineup here are hitting the fastball well in terms of player runs above average. So I'm going to lean towards St. Louis in the spot on the money line here. In terms of the odds, I don't know if I love the idea of, minus 120, but if this thing moves in any sort of like minus 115 or any direction like that, St. Louis money line could be a final play. In terms of what we have from a total, so we've seen, 2 high scoring games compared to this line so far to start the series. 8-4 in game 1 and then 5-3 yesterday. If I'm basing my money line lean on offense, I think I have to lean towards the over in this spot, right? So I'm going to lean St. Louis as well as the over, and then let me just double check to make sure I don't have any player props that I had pinned here. We did. Okay, this is one that these are 2 that we are considering, but I haven't fully done the background check on them fully. But O'Neal Cruz as well as Tommy Pham, both of them under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I think I was leaning more towards the Tommy Pham side of things, but again, if those are in the pinned comment, I'll kind of give a blurb as to why, because I haven't fully vetted those this early in the morning. Detroit taking on the Yankees. Kind of, I was going to say embarrassing loss for the Yankees yesterday. I guess it wasn't. They lose 5-0. They went up against Tariq Skubal. He went 6 innings and looked really good. The first inning, the Yankees had some life. And you're like, oh boy, the Yankees were plus money yesterday, blah, blah, blah. Tariq Skubal locked in after that. You know what I mean? Like, very, very good outing out of him. Today, we do have what I would consider a good pitcher on the mound for Detroit. They have Jack Flaherty going up against what I would consider a good pitcher for the Yankees in Max Fried. Max Fried, 2 starts under his belt to start the season. Pretty decent, right? He was the one that pitched in that 20-run game for the Yankees, but he only allowed 2 through, I think it was 5 innings against Milwaukee. And then he pitched 5 2/3 against Pittsburgh, we got that right. Only allowed 1 run, had 6 Ks, 1 walk. Jack Flaherty on the other side of things has honestly looked pretty good. Like, he had what I would consider a pretty good outing against the Dodgers that they ended up losing that game, but he pitched into the 6th inning, only 3 hits, one of which being a home run, which amounted to 2 earned runs, but 5 strikeouts. He did have 2 walks, though, and then he went up against the White Sox, and what you'd expect him to do against the White Sox is pound the zone and get guys out, right? Well, he did just that, 5 2/3 again, 1 earned run, 7 Ks, 2 walks, and he's only been averaging like 15 pitches per inning in both of his outings so far. So I do think Jack Flaherty could pitch well today. My concern is that even though it's a small sample size, he doesn't have the best of numbers against the current guys here on this Yankee squad, and when that's the case, you can get a little dicey, right? Especially given the fact that we know he's going to get a ton of fastballs, or he's going to throw a ton of fastballs. New York hitting the fastball pretty well here. So I understand, backing Max Fried probably is the side here, and I think I'm going to rely on that just a little bit. Maybe you have a Yankees team that could be a little pissed off because of how they've, been playing, right? Like, they haven't really looked like the Yankees you'd like to see. They've lost now 3 straight games, and they've scored 4, 2, and 0 runs. They're kind of at rock bottom if you follow that trend, right? It's been cutting in half in each of those last 3 games. So I do think that they bounce back today. I doubt that they get swept by this Detroit team. But maybe the Yankees just aren't playing well in the afternoon as of right now, right? Or maybe they're not going to be a great road team this year, stuff like that. But I would say, Max Fried has talent. I'm a Jack Flaherty guy, and we have been for over a season now, in particular spots, right? I don't necessarily think that this is the spot for him. And also throw in the fact that Detroit has been a good offense, which I'm still looking like an idiot because I'm not fully buying into their offense, yet each and every day they're hitting home runs. Like, they had 3 of 4 batters in 1 inning against Carrasco yesterday hit a home run, right? They hit, who was it? I forget who hit the home run. Then they had a guy get out, and then they had back-to-back home runs after that. It's like, this offense clearly has some pop, but more so against righties than lefties, at least in the early goings of the season. So I'll keep that in mind. Give me the Yankees on the money line. In terms of what we have from a total perspective, I do kind of want to say that this is like a 4-3 type of finish. So I guess I'll lean towards an under, kind of giving Max Fried a little credibility, giving Jack Flaherty a little credibility. So yeah, I'll lean towards an under, but again, 4-3 is kind of my prediction, which is right on that number. And one error, one mispitch that gets hit to a home run, like you could obviously be looking at a higher score. So I don't think I touched the total. All this ranting for me to say Yankees money line or Yankees first five or pass here. In terms of player prop, I think that there are some viable unders in this spot. Like I'm looking right away again at Javier Baez. We cashed that yesterday. I don't mind going right back to it. He's going up against the lefty, stinks against the lefty. Max Fried's really good against the righties. Javier Baez strikes out a lot against the fastball, strikes out a lot against the curveball, and the sinker he can hit, but this is Max Fried. He has a lot of pitch mix. He has 5 pitches in his arsenal that he throws in double-digit percent. 33 to the fastball, 21 to the curve, 16 sinker, 14 changeup, and then 12 slider. So a lot of pitch mix. I expect him to be able to get Javier Baez out. So if you can get that in the minus 160s, I'd say minus 165 being the threshold. I like it. It's there on MGM right now, so I bet the sooner the better in terms of getting that value. I wouldn't play this at like minus 170. That's usually my great wall we don't go past anyways, but I do like Baez yet again under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. All right, Mets taking on Miami. We can do this one pretty quickly, kind of like we have been for this series. Tyler McGill on the mound for the Mets going up against Max Meyer. Neither one of these guys I want to put faith into overall. I mean, we saw a decent amount of runs come in yesterday, but that was kind of a weird one, right? Like, I feel like Miami was at 2 runs forever. It clearly looked like a Mets game from start to finish. Max Meyer hasn't looked all that terrible, but he's gone up against Pittsburgh and Atlanta. Atlanta did score, I think it was, 3 earned on him. That was the game that Atlanta's offense actually looked viable. And then Tyler McGill's kind of looked filthy to start the year, but that was against Houston. I don't know if that offense is there. And then Toronto, when Toronto's on the road, I don't know if that offense is fully clicked. So much like we talked about with, Pittsburgh and St. Louis and Fetty and Keller. It's like I sit here and I'm like, some of these numbers, I don't like, they look good on the outside and it's hard to argue that, but I don't know if we can fully get behind and fully trust. So I will say that this is a spot in which I'm not willing to pay that minus 240 price for the Mets. We're also going to get a ton of sliders from Max Meyer. That's a pitch that, the Mets do not hit all that well. So maybe that, he's got that going for him, right? I'm going to lean towards Miami. Now, do we like the idea of them first 5 or full game money line? I would say, I almost want to say your guess is as good as mine because both of these bullpens have had guys pitch, 2 of the last 3 days, and they're both pretty, taxed. The Mets have a better bullpen, but they might be a little bit more taxed. I'd probably say first 5 money line for Miami if I had to put something down in this game. In terms of where we go from a total, I think that these two teams kind of come back down to earth. I mentioned Max Meyer. I think his pitch mix it fits this team pretty well in terms of favoring him. So maybe I take a peek here at the, I would say I take a peek at the under. If this is at like 7.5, I'd actually consider a first 5 under, but I doubt we're going to be able to get a good number. In fact, I can get an updated line so we have that, while recording here. But let's see. If we wanted a first 500, I'm looking for the number of 4.5, which is why I don't think we're going to get it. Under 4.5, minus 170. That is about, I'd probably put this at like a minus 160 threshold. So that's about 10 cents off of where I'd go with it. But if we can get decent odds somewhere on that 4.5 under in the first 5, I don't mind it. Player prop, we do have yet another under, and we keep getting the comments, I hate riding with unders and all that. Guys, don't fear the under. It's okay. I know everyone loves takeovers, and maybe those are more fun when your mind is tricked into liking that, but you got to treat these things equal. If it's a good spot, it's a good spot. If the data on your side, you have the data on your side. Doesn't matter if you're looking at over or under. And the weird thing is, just in sports in general, I feel like there's more ways to cash an under. Not that we would want to cash like this, but like, say a guy has 1 at bat and then gets pitch hit for. Boom. plate appearance, cash it, right? You know what I mean? You don't have to rely on all of the at-bats and all that. So, yeah, don't fear the under. I have that message to send to you guys. We've been crushing unders on player props so far to start the season. The one that we're looking at here is going to be Mark Vientos, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for a couple different reasons, which is why I do like it. Like I mentioned, the slider. The Mets don't hit the slider well, especially him. His WOBA goes from 356 down to 297. The fastball he does hit well, so that's what I'm a little concerned with. But overall, we do have a guy, Vientos, going up against Max Meyer here, who throws from the right side. Vientos against righty pitchers, his average drops about 15 points. His WRC plus drops down to 127 from 133. So this could be a good look as well. You're getting minus 140 over on DK. And again, it's really based on that slider. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Don't fear the under. We get so many comments, and like I said, I get the people that are like, I like to root for the over and all that, but I'll tell you what, in baseball, if you have an under on a batter, it's almost like, yeah, you only get 4 or 5 times where you're watching that happen, but it's pure electricity when you're watching it happen, because it's like swing of the bat. If the pitcher strikes him out, you're pumped. It's almost like maybe the constant ride of the game isn't as entertaining, but it spikes when those guys are up at the plate. So yeah, just don't fear the under. I've said that 4 times now. Put that on a t-shirt. In fact, I think we have in the past. All right, Chicago taking on Texas. Shota Imanaga's on the mound for Chicago, who I really do like. I think I've seen all over Twitter that people are thinking that he could be a fade this year and whatnot. To me, it doesn't really track. I think the guy is one of the best starting pitchers that we have right now in the game. I said one of. His last start against San Diego, 7 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts. San Diego, obviously against lefties, a little bit different, but nonetheless, still a good offense. He also went up against Arizona this season. Oh, okay. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 Ks, and 2 walks. Arizona, a good offense, right? Then his opening start, which was when they played overseas, right, went up against the Dodgers. 4 innings pitched. Obviously, early in the year, they didn't want to use much of him. 0 hits, 0 earned runs. Like, this guy's filthy. We all know that. Let's not try and trick ourselves into thinking the world's on Shota. It's Shota day. We need to fade him. We don't. I think Shota Imanaga is a backable pitcher for sure. And against a lineup like this, I think that could be the move today. I do have concerns, I guess, with the fact that the Cubs, I think at some point, this offense is going to come to, I'm not going to say a halt. They have a lot of good bats in that lineup, but at some point we're going to be like, what the heck? They dried up all their offense and that type of stuff. So I'm a little worried about that, but they're going up against Tyler Mahle today, who's on the Texas side of things. He's going to throw a lot of fastballs. He'll mix it up with the splitter, but the fastball, definitely a pitch that I'm not all that concerned with the Cubs hitting. I'd say the Cubs bullpen is the only thing that I'm a little skeeved out by, right? And I know that if we look at this line on the first 5 money line, you're probably losing a decent amount of value, right? Cubs minus 160. I don't mind it, but that 10 cents seems like it's a little expensive to eliminate the bullpen. So this is probably going to be Cubs money line or nothing for me. I almost want to lean towards, a team total over of the Rangers, maybe in the first 5. I don't necessarily see them hitting him all that well. They haven't seen him much. I mean, in 5 plate appearances, so take this with a damn grain of salt. 5 plate appearances, 0 average against, an expected batting average against of 0.64, a WOBA of 138, slugging of 0.65, and an expected WOBA of 186. So clearly those are great numbers. 5 plate appearances against the current guys on the roster obviously doesn't really tell too much. But give me Shota, give me the Cubs, maybe a Texas team total under, which right now, if we can go first 5 under 1.5 for plus 100. Don't necessarily hate that. For the full game, I'd probably be looking at, under 4.5, under 3.5. 4.5 is kind of priced out. So yeah, maybe, and I don't have any right now, so apologies, but maybe this is a spot in which we could think about some pivots towards the Texas bats and maybe look at some unders or something like that. But overall, I don't have any prepared right now. So it's Cubs and under right now. Team total under, for the Texas Rangers. All right, guys, before we do move on with today's show, let me talk to you guys about Underdog. They have a free square. I almost said a scree pair. A free square today. Bobby Witt Jr., 0.5 plate appearances. Are you taking the higher or are you taking the lower? You should be taking the higher, but if you're a lower taker here, you're an absolute weirdo because All he has to do is get to the plate here. I know I said don't fear the under, but this ain't the time to implement that strategy. 0.5 plate appearances. Go take advantage of it. If you sign up today, you use the link in the description. It's also in the pinned comment. You get up to $1,000 in a deposit bonus when signing up, which is crazy to say that out loud. 4 digits, $1,000 if you do go ahead and sign up to $1,000. So go check it out. You get this free square over on Underdog. If you guys don't know what Underdog is, it's simple. You pick 2 or more player props. You pick higher or lower based on their set projections. Again, don't fear the lower, but you're going to take higher on this 0.5 plate appearances. The more you win in that entry, the more you do get paid out. It's really, really cool. You can win up to 1,000 times your money over on Underdog. So check that out, guys. That link will be down below in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into these games here. All right, we got the A's taking on San Diego. I'm a little conflicted in this one because I like we cashed San Diego in game 1 of this series, right? And we took them yesterday. They got kind of pummeled. Dylan Cease did not look good. Springs looked okay, right? What did he pitch? Almost 6 innings. Maybe he did pitch a complete 6 innings. Now we have Osvaldo Bido on the mound going up against Randy Vasquez. Bido has been really bad this season against righties, really good against lefties. This is a fairly mixed bag here in terms of San Diego. They have Tatis, Machado, Bogarts, the 2 guys at the Maldonado, and then missing 1 righty, right? And then on the other side of things, the lefties, Arias, Cronenworth, Sheets, like they do have a few different lefties here. So I would say that, yeah, they could get to Osvaldo Bido today, but even if he's on against lefties, some of those bats like Machado and Tatis and Bogarts should be able to perform to some degree, right? He's going to throw a ton of fastballs. That's his main pitch, as well as slider. A couple of those righties, Machado and Tatis, have, at least in terms of this year, have been hitting the slider really well. In fact, let me show you the dashboard. This is brand new over here. Yeah, it's going to look a little small on your screen, but if you do sign up and become a GuyBostonSports.com member, you can get access to this. You'll be able to zoom in and whatnot, but this is what I'm talking about. So fastball and slider, we can see Osvaldo Bido, his pitch mix, right? First off, slider has been a pitch that San Diego hits well this season. Fastball kind of middle of the pack. We know that they hit righties well. They don't hit lefties all that tremendously. But I'm looking at these guys. Tatis, average against righties, really good to start the year. Machado, really good as well. Fastball for Machado, not so much. Tatis for sure. But that secondary pitch, the slider, Tatis, 5.3 runs above average per 100 sliders thrown or seen. And then Machado, 4.0? Yeah, 4.0, 4.8. I can't really tell. It's small for me too. So both those guys do hit the slider very, very well, which I think is important in this case because 2 of the more prominent bats in the lineup, right? So overall, I think this is going to be a San Diego spot. You're going to have to trust Randy Vasquez, which I don't know if anyone ever likes saying out loud, but ultimately for me, this is a team that should be better offensively today, should be better with the starting pitching. Hoping, their bullpen kind of had a rest day yesterday. A few of those guys pitched, a couple innings, but their main guys with definitely closer and setup and late inning guys, they all had the day off yesterday because of that score. So I'm thinking that this could be a decent look here at a full game Padres money line because I don't like the Athletics bullpen, at least to start the year. But if we get better value in the first 5, I guess I could see it, you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't shock me because, again, the advantage comes late in the game. First 5 money line, you're probably seeing Osvaldo Bido maybe have a little bit of some get back or some edge there on San Diego because of Randy Vasquez. But I think that this is a Padres day and more so for the offense. So I'm going to lean towards them. Maybe just a peek at their team total over. That's kind of a pivot that I would check into just because that way we don't have to even worry about the idea of, Randy Vasquez doing well. All we have to see is the Padres go out there and get theirs. My one concern is this total is way up there, right? I think we have wind blowing out to center in like 75 degrees today. So it's like it's a big time run scoring day or potentially, right? So it might just be San Diego team total over if we can get a good number, but it might just be you have to rely on Vasquez and take them on the money line because this Padres team could win 4-2. We've seen the Athletics offense struggle plenty this season, but we've also seen some good games. Padres, their offense has at least been a little bit more consistent, right? So I'll lean in that direction. Padres money line, again, it's more so based on their offense, though. So if you do see them scoring 5 runs today, maybe you take a peek at that over 4.5. I'm just more of like when I take team totals over, I'm more of a, I almost love 3.5, right? And then I get a little skeeved out sometimes when we're looking at 4.5s. But for some offenses, it really shouldn't be all that big of a deal. And I would put the Padres in this matchup, potentially in that situation or in that, I guess, call. But guys, let me show you real quick how to get access to that dashboard, then we can move on. Over on the Guy Boston Sports site, which is the link down in the pinned comment, taking you to our final plays, up in the members area, top right here, you can see a few different options. The MLB dashboard being the last one. You can open that up. If you are already logged in and you do have an account and a membership, you can see the dashboard is right here. You get each and every game broken out in a visual format. This is it's a compilation pretty much of a bunch of different websites, making it more of like a one-stop shop for you guys. And like I said, you could zoom in. You can take a peek at stuff if, some is too small and whatnot. I tell you guys all the time, I like to print these out. Weirdly enough, and I admit it's kind of weird, I told you guys I do it on the plane all the time, right? And I'll just print this whole, sheet out, and then I kind of go through and make notes while on the plane. But I'm just a geek like that, I guess. But what I've been doing lately is printing it out anyways, like just making notes throughout the day and that type of thing. So it's kind of cool. I love the old school, like writing and whatnot, especially when it comes to sports betting. I do a lot of that. So yeah, we got a ton of different stuff in here. Pitcher data, pitch mix, bullpen data. We have bats overall, bats against the arm that pitcher is today, bats against the arm in the situation. So right-handed away, left-handed home, that type of thing. We also have batting for the last 30 days. Now, we don't have 30 days of the season yet, so it's just 2025 data, but batting against all of the pitches, and then player projections, or not projection, the projected starting lineup of that day. We have what side they bat from, because that's important, knowing, which side the pitchers are good against and that type of thing. We have their averages against either lefty or righty. And then this is new as of today, the runs above average, which is I love runs above average. If you guys don't know what that is, it's essentially WOBA compared to like a base minimum of WOBA times plate appearances. The higher number, the better. The lower number, the worse. It's a pretty important part to note. But yeah, we have this now per pitch for each player. So really, really cool. Again, that's over on GuyBostonSports.com. If you don't have access, I'll set this to a logged out view. You could see, you click on MLB dashboard. It says, hey, hold up. You need a membership. Check out the membership levels. There's a couple different options. You can get the NBA and MLB there with the all sports dashboard, or just get them individually if that does interest you more. Check it out, GuyBostonSports.com. Next up, we have Arizona taking on Baltimore. Arizona gets the win yesterday, 4-3. I want to start with a player prop here because it's kind of, I'm conflicted in my brain. I like the idea of Gunnar Henderson under 1.5 bases. He's been cashing at plenty to start the season, unfortunately for him. So far this year, he has one game in which he's gone over. He's going up against Brandon Pfaadt today, who isn't necessarily, I think the kid's going to be good. I didn't like him originally. Now I've kind of seen a little bit more out of him. But the point being is that he throws a ton of fastballs. And a year ago, even when Henderson was having a much better season, he kind of struggled against the fastball. My concern with actually making this a final play, and it is a true concern, is that Gunnar Henderson, we know, is better than the way he's been playing offensively, right? So I think at some point we can expect him to have some big games. He already had a decent game in this series. Already had 2 hits, I think 3 bases. That was his best game of the year offensively. So I like it. The data's kind of there. He doesn't really hit the fastball well. He doesn't hit anything well this year. I think against righties he's batting like in the 100s. But at some point he's good enough that he's going to bounce out of it, right? And he's one of the few guys in that lineup that's struggling. So we'll start there, but I will say, do your due diligence and dig into that a little bit more if you do want to take the risk. But for minus 130, under 1.5 bases, it seems like that could be a decent value play because, maybe he's still one game away from snapping back into it. Maybe he needs a new series. Maybe they need to return home. There's a lot of maybes there, but maybes don't always amount to money. Put that on a t-shirt. A lot of sayings in today's video. But let's dive into this game just overall. We do have Brandon Pfaadt on the mound going up against Dean Kramer. I don't like Dean Kramer. I don't think he does anything special. It's not like he's even looked all that great to start this season. I wouldn't sit there and say he's looked bad, but he hasn't looked great. Brandon Pfaadt, though, has not looked all that tremendous either. He went up against the Cubs. Now we know that that's not easy. That's not the easiest out. But Washington also kind of got to him. 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, 0 walks, but 3 home runs. And I don't think you want a guy that's going to be giving up, a few home runs. He's already let up like 4 or 5 this year against a team like Baltimore that does have some pop in that lineup. So especially with his total being at 9, if they're expecting some runs, like I said, I don't like Dean Kramer. Kind of like Brandon Pfaadt, but I don't really fully have my trust in him just yet. I think the way that I would go here is to take the pitcher out of it. fade the pitcher that I actually don't like, and take a peek at Diamondbacks over 3.5 for a team total. Paying a hell of a lot of juice, though. Minus 165 here. I might just look at the plus 105 over 4.5. They haven't done that in 4 straight games, but I do think that's a really good offense. They're going up against a righty pitcher in which they do hit really, really well. They're going up against a righty pitcher that's going to go fastball cutter. And even using the dashboard again, you could see fastball cutter here, making up over 60% of the pitch mix. Look at that. 3-1 in terms of runs above average. So could be a good look for Arizona team total over. I guess that would be the hybrid approach. That's what I have total as well as a side here in this one. San Francisco, Cincinnati. We have Verlander on the mound for San Francisco going up against Nick Martinez. I think I would say first and foremost, considering the under. Now, is that just based on current trends and the way these two teams have been playing? Yes, we saw a 2-0 win for Cincinnati and then a 1-0 win for Cincinnati. I would say that I'm going to, pivot towards probably Justin Verlander in this spot. Nick Martinez has decent numbers against the San Francisco squad too, so I don't really want to say that. That kind of contributes to why I like an under. But overall, we might be playing with fire here. Like, obviously, San Francisco's a little bit log jammed. Am I going to look like I'm correct when we see this, that, their offense actually isn't all that great? Because I can't take a victory lap because I was one that said the offense isn't great, and then I pivoted and said, okay, I think it actually is good, you know what I mean? So I can't victory lap it. The total is wrong, though, by the way. It's at 9, I just realized. I believe this is at 8 on most. That's like the consensus right now. So we do have the wrong total in the graphic. We'll fire the graphics guy. I'm the graphics guy. But give me San Francisco in this one on a bounce back spot. But I do think that I like the idea of an under or a first 5 under more so. I'd also consider a peek at the Nerfy in this one. I think my concern would be the fact that we've just seen, such low scoring runs. This is almost like a feel spot where it's like, at some point we're going to see runs, right? In terms of what we have for weather today in San Francisco, it's, I believe, mid 60s, a little breezy. So could see some runs even like full game in terms of taking an under. But it's almost like I'm the one thing you could say to rebut the under and even the Nerfy is kind of like what if stuff, you know what I mean? So I'm not in the what if business. I'm not in the what if business, but either way, I think the Nerfy is probably my favorite look in this one. Just a little concerned with the fact that we've clearly seen a lot of low-scoring baseball. Like, does it continue? Justin Verlander, we didn't even really talk about the pitchers independently. Justin Verlander is decent, but hasn't exactly had like a studly start to the season. He did start against, was it Cincinnati? Did he already pitched against this squad? Is that correct? I believe so. And he did meh, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I necessarily want to sit there and say that it was a great performance. Nick Martinez, on the other hand, he pitched definitely against this San Francisco squad, and I believe the Nerfy hit in that game. I don't have it up in front of me if the Nerfy hit in the Verlander game, but if it did, great. That means both these guys, catch the Nerfy in there. So, I feel like I'm all over the place here, but this is a tough series to read, and this San Francisco team's been tough for me to read in general. So, Nerfy or nothing in this one. I said Nerfy or nothing in that one. We ended up also kind of uncovering a player prop that we might roll with. Christian Encarnacion-Strand under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I do like the matchup for him in this spot against Verlander. He's also hit the under in, I believe, all but 2 or 3 games so far this year. But Verlander throws a fastball, cutter, and then he moves to a slider. All 3 of those pitches, Encarnacion-Strand struggles against. So, yeah, I like this spot. We don't have any data between the 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, I think this is a good look. Last year, he batted just 200 against righties. His WRC plus was at 44.8 compared to 33.8 overall. So I guess that's a little bit of a knock. But again, the fastball, I do like. We have Justin Verlander that likes to throw that up in the zone and away from right-handed batters. That should be good. The curveball, he doesn't hit all that well. Did I say cutter, curveball? And then the slider, I think, is a good pitch as well. So pitch mix-wise, I do like him. That definitely has a chance of being a final play. Just wanted to add this in after the fact because I said, Nerfy or nothing or something. I like the Nerfy as well as this player prop. All right, Washington taking on the Dodgers. What's going on with the Dodgers, huh? I mean, you would have thought that yesterday was a bounce-back game for them, and they ended up scoring 2 runs. Washington beat them 8-2, meaning in this series now, Washington has the upper hand, right? They're sitting there being like, yeah, what you know about us, you know what I mean? 2-0 in this series. It's the Washington Nationals. All of a sudden, the bullpen looks okay. I mean, I have to imagine the Dodgers bounce back today, so this is going to be Dodgers minus 1.5 or nothing for me. I will say Jake Irvin and Logan Knack, I almost want to say that Jake Irvin's the guy that I would trust a little bit more. We do have one, point to make, I guess, when we look at, like, I guess, Logan Knack, it's that he throws a lot of fastballs. Washington isn't hitting the fastball well. He throws a lot of changeups. That's a pitch that they have been really, really struggling against. So, sure, maybe that looks okay. Jake Irvin didn't and hasn't looked all that tremendous to start the season. Sure. But, I guess he's the better name. So I guess him not looking to start the season could help a Dodgers play here. So, yeah, Dodgers -1.5 in this one. I'd also lean towards a Dodgers team total over. All right, we got Seattle taking on Houston. In this one, we have Luis F. Castillo. I'm not going to get confused with that anymore. We have Luis F. Castillo on the bump going up against Hunter Brown. This has been a series in which we've cashed the Nerfy in 2 straight games to start off the series. And I don't hate going back to it today. I don't know if we're going to push our luck, but it's definitely a spot for it if you like it overall, right? I mean, you have Luis F. Castillo, who I don't think is all that tremendous. I'm not trying to say that, but Houston's offense definitely struggling early in games. And then Hunter Brown on the other side of things, I do think that he's in a decent position here. His numbers against this Seattle team is pretty decent. 102 plate appearances against, so that's a decent amount of plate appearances, right? 32.4% K rate, that's great. 8.8% walk rate, that's kind of meh. Average against of 220, a WOBA of 273 against, expected batting average against of 237, an expected WOBA under 300 at 295, and an expected slugging of 333. So, yeah, I could get convinced of a Nerfy in this spot, or a first 5 under, kind of playing to the idea of potentially not many runs being scored in this game in general. I do think, I would stay away from the full game total. I know that these 2 bullpens are actually pretty decent bullpens in general, so I'm not trying to say they're not at all. But just based on the bullpen usage from both of these teams over the last couple days, I feel like things could get a little volatile later in the game. You know what I mean? So I'd probably just go first 5 and try and trim as much fat as we can. And even by trimming fat, maybe starting to look at the Nerfy. In terms of where we'd go from a play perspective on the side, I think I'd have to look at Houston. They did squeeze out the win yesterday against the actual Luis Castillo, not the Luis fake Castillo. I like that's what the F stands for. But, I think that's Hunter Brown. His numbers look really good. And I think this offense on Houston at some point will click a little bit more than Seattle. I don't think Seattle's offense is ever going to click. And I struggle to say that, but I do think that, they did not make the adjustments they needed. They have really good pitching and whatnot. They did not make the adjustments that they needed in terms of, getting more and more bats and whatnot. Player props. Randy Arozarena. Whoa, I kind of slurred when I said that. A little bit early for that, Ev. Randy Arozarena Jr. here. I like his under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. I like it. Do not love it. So we'll see if we end up rolling with it. I think that he's trending in that direction. This is a Seattle offense that is not even getting on base, so I don't really worry about the runs or RBIs. I think hits would be how this kind of kills us. But again, we're not taking bases, so we'd need 2 hits in the game. I don't think that that's all that, easy to do. He's also had 11 plate appearances against Hunter Brown, and we've seen Hunter Brown strike him out 37% of the time, on base 0.182, so 182, and then he has an average of 0. So, yeah, I think this could be a decent spot. Randy Arozarena here, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, really banking on the fact that, if he gets up, it's not likely that there's guys on base, so RBIs hopefully out of the question. And then if he gets on base, whether it's a walk or a hit would be tough, but even if it's a walk, I think it's going to be tough for them to bring him home in a sense. Next up, Cleveland taking on Chicago. I have a weird one in this one, and I kind of like it. Sean Burke, who I've said on the show before, I do think is going to have a decent year now. Can he have a decent year with White Sox lineup behind him? Potentially not, but I do think the kid is going to be good. Now, he looked terrible in his last start. Looked good in his first start against the Angels. The Angels' offense actually looking okay, right? But he looked really, really bad in his last start against Minnesota. That was at home. 7 hits through 4 1/3, 6 earned runs. He let up 2 home runs. I think it's a good bounce-back spot for him. He's going up against Logan Allen, who I have over the years been a big Logan Allen guy, but the realistic look that I'm coming from here is that both of these offenses stink out loud. This is a 1-0 game yesterday. We've seen Cleveland now 3 games in a row, 1, 2, 2. Those are their runs scored. Chicago, obviously not a good offense either. I think this is a spot for Sean Burke to potentially pitch well. So the way that I would look at that is first five money line for Chicago, which is plus 140 right now. And we rarely dabble in the underdog run line in the first five, but Chicago plus 0.5, meaning if it's a tie, they get the edge there for minus 110 through the first five. I think that we could split maybe a half unit, 0.15 units on the run line, 0.1 unit on the money line, that type of thing. And you know what, if it loses, it'd be just like if we lost the full quarter unit, right? Which sounds weird to say, full quarter unit. But to me, I think that Sean Burke is worth backing to some degree this year. And Cleveland's offense, I have no trust or belief in, and I truly do mean that. We're going to get a ton of sliders out of Sean Burke. This has been a team, Cleveland, that actually has looked okay, I'll say, against sliders so far to start the year, right? But the guys in the team in terms of runs above average, it's really been just Ramirez that's kind of upping that. He has some crazy good numbers in terms of runs above average. I think it's at like 9 to start the year, and then Manzardo is at like 7. So it's really two guys in the lineup that are truly upping this. But on the other side of things, you're going to get a lot of change-ups from Logan Allen, and that's been a pitch, like the one pitch that you could argue Chicago's hit decently. So yeah, go win this first five. We cash both of those plays. Maybe it's like a 2-1, 1-0 type of a game. But again, even if it is 0-0 or 1-1, we'll get that plus 0.5 on the run line. I don't think a lot of runs are going to be scored in this one, so I guess full game I'd lean towards an under overall, just because I don't think either offense is all that great. But if I do roll with anything in this one, it's probably what I said. I've already kind of mapped it out, splitting that quarter unit into 0.15 and 0.1 and looking at first five money line, first five run line, getting a plus 0.5 on the Chicago side of things. All right, I know this video is running along, so we'll try and cut the ad lib and move quickly through the last 5 games or so. But we got Boston taking on Toronto here. Boston not getting the win yesterday. Garrett Crochet, I was really looking forward to watching him, and he looked, you know what I mean? Like, not all that great. I wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, that takes away from anything that we've seen from him this year. But now we have Tanner Houck on the mound going up against Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman, I still really like. He's been really good on the road, just, I guess, throughout his career, but even recently. This season's sample size is too small. In terms of both of these guys against the opposing team, pretty good numbers. Gausman, 138 in terms of plate appearances against, 31.2% K rate, 5.1% walk rate. That's great. Expected batting average against, 210. That's great. Expected slugging, 361. That's pretty good. Expected WOBA against, 265. That's great. Tanner Houck on the other side of things, 98 plate appearance against, decent amount, 19.4% K rate, 6.1% walk rate, decent, average against of 182, expected batting average against of 233, not bad, and expected WOBA against of 283. So I think both pitchers could be primed for a good spot here. I do worry that, the Red Sox, they have and I worry for the idea of like a first five under is what I was about to say. The Red Sox have a very good lineup. And they've gone 2-1 in terms of runs scored in their last 2 games. I do expect them to at some point bounce back. I don't want to sit here and say it's against Gausman, but Gausman is going to throw a ton of fastballs, a ton of splitters. He'll throw the slider, pitching from the right side. The Red Sox hit righties well. Little worried about taking an under with the Red Sox today, especially to close out a series like this. Actually, I believe they play a 4-game series, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, they've lost 2 straight and haven't scored. So I would take first 5 under. Kind of like cringing when I do it, but maybe just pivot to Toronto team total under, because I do think Tanner Houck and his pitch mix could do fairly well today. So that's kind of how I would like hybridize the idea of both the side and the total. And then really quick, let's see if we had any player props. None that's jumping to my brain right now, but let's see if we had any. No player props as of right now in this one. Tampa Bay taking on the Angels. This series doesn't really matter all that much to me. I do like the idea of an under or a first 5 under because we have Ryan Pepe Le Pew Pepoit on the mound for the Rays. I do like him. And then Yusei Kikuchi, who I do think is also a very good pitcher on the other side of things. And this Tampa Bay team, their offense stinks, but they're even worse against lefties. They have, I want to say, a lot of righties in their lineup, which is worrisome because Kikuchi's much better against lefties than he is righties. But nonetheless, I still think this could be a spot for low-scoring game. It's at 8 right now for a total. I would probably look at the first 5 because you never know what you're getting with these bullpens. Tampa Bay's bullpen hasn't looked bad, but it hasn't looked great. But again, they cannot seem to hit lefties. So if we could just pivot to, a first 5 in this spot, first 5 under, we're able to say, okay, yeah, we like the pitching, but also I don't think either offense is great. Now, I know some people might look at that and be like, this Angels offense is good and all that, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a buyer on what they're putting down right now. So, yeah, give me the first 5 under in this spot. Assuming we can get a decent number behind it, both these guys should be in decent situations to go out there and have a good day. Atlanta taking on Philadelphia. We liked, a low-scoring game, at least through the first 3 innings yesterday. Didn't get that. We had Zach Wheeler and Chris Sale both not necessarily look all that spectacular, but are we now seeing a Braves offense potentially piece some things together? They went 10 runs. Yes, they scored 0 the next game, but now 7 against a Philly team that's pretty good, right? This is an interesting one. I would say, with Grant Holmes on the mound going up against Taijuan Walker, I don't necessarily want to, almost not want to back either one of these guys, but Phillies still do strike me as the better offense. Walker in his first start of the season looked really good, but it was against Colorado, so how much weight can we necessarily put into that? I would say because we're getting a plus number next to the Phillies, that would be the side that I look at. You also have the fact that maybe you're waiting out to see if the Braves are legit, or are they going to go high-scoring 0 runs again, right? So give me Phillies in this one. In terms of a total, I don't like either pitcher, right? Or I don't want to trust either pitcher, so I guess I'll lean towards an over, but maybe a peek at like a Phillies team total over today. Kansas City taking on Minnesota. So we did have a really good look in this one yesterday, right? We had Minnesota team total under 1.5. And again, that was the play that a lot of people in the comments were like, I don't know about that one. Cole Reagans did his thing. Now we have Seth Lugo, who's also a stud in and of himself. In terms of his numbers against this squad, though, not exactly the best. And the Twins offense is still just like a big old question mark. It's just a question mark to me. I'd be lying if I said I could predict whether they're going to have a good game or bad game. Yesterday was even more so just backing Cole Reagans against an inconsistent offense. But Kansas City's offense is lacking, and they're going up against Joe Ryan today. So I think this is another spot in which we could say, okay, forget about the offenses. I know Seth Lugo doesn't have the best numbers here, but he's going up against an offense that we can at least hope isn't very good, right? So maybe this is also a spot in which we say, okay, first 5 under between these two squads. And yeah, you guys know that I love my first 5 unders and I love my unders in general. I think that that's going to be a potential play today because I just want to back both Ryan and Lugo against two offenses that are kind of struggling. I would say Kansas City at some point may break out of this thing, but Joe Ryan throws a ton of fastballs. This Kansas City team, specifically against righties, they're not a fastball hitting team. So yeah, they'll hit the slider, they'll hit the sinker, the curve, at least to start the year. Fastball's their 5th worst in baseball right now. So first 5 under in this one is my main spot. Last game on the board, we have Milwaukee taking on Colorado. Tyler Alexander on the bump for Milwaukee. He looked okay in his first start of the season against Cincinnati. He went 5 2/3, 0 hits, 0 earned runs, 6 Ks. Did allow 3 walks, though. Sanzatella on the mound for this Colorado team. Dude's dealing. He's letting a lot of guys on base, but he's getting out of it. Like, this guy has allowed, through 2 games, he's allowed 21 guys on base, 0 earned runs to start the year. At some point, that dam has to break, but I don't want to sit here and say that it's Milwaukee that's going to do it. Milwaukee's offense has looked a hell of a lot better than it did to start the year, so I give them a little bit of credit. But I can't sit here and be like, oh man, it's an obvious Milwaukee spot. In cores, anything can happen. I will tell you I'm leaning towards Milwaukee, but I don't necessarily want to sit here and say that this is an over type of a game. Like, I could see Milwaukee winning it, but maybe like a 5-4 game, 5-3. So give me Milwaukee and the under. I kind of think Antonio Sanzatella here can get out of a lot of jams. Now, again, he's pitching in cores, which is a little bit different. His other starts were in, I think, Tampa Bay and then Philadelphia, right? But you know what? I'll give him credit for just getting out of jams. Like, he's situationally pitching well, letting guys on base, but getting out of it. So, yeah, Milwaukee could score some runs today. I could also see them not, getting on base, but not bringing them in. So I'm going to lean under, but I still have to lean Milwaukee because I do have the better offense. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. A long one, but truly do appreciate you spending time with me. Baseball has been hot to start. Just know that we're going to keep putting in the work, keep putting in the effort, and hopefully this hot streak continues. If it doesn't, I still want you to know that we are going to keep putting out great videos and trying to keep building this community because you guys are the absolute best, and I'm so thankful for the position I'm in. So, yeah, little sappy rant there, but you know what? I think you guys are well-deserved of a thank you type of a rant. So that's all for me today. I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.